Think about the last time you had a little extra cash in your pocket. You likely stood there weighing your options. Do you grab a snack right now, or do you save for the clothing you've been eyeing? This illustrates a basic rule of human behavior. We have baseline needs required for survival, like food and water. But beyond those essentials, our wants are infinite, often upgrading the moment our previous desires are met. That creates a mathematical problem. Our unlimited desires are on a collision course with a strictly finite planet. The physical resources required to make the things we want, the land, the water, and the labor, exist in strictly limited quantities. This permanent condition of having limited resources to satisfy unlimited demands is what we call scarcity. Because of scarcity, every choice destroys an alternate reality. The hidden price of the alternative you didn't choose, the clothing you sacrificed to buy the snack, is your opportunity cost. Nations and global corporations face this same scarcity, forced to navigate the same trade-offs as any individual. Figuring out how to navigate this tension is the purpose of economics. The word itself comes from ancient Greek, originally meaning household management. Today, it's the formal discipline of optimizing limited resources across an entire society. To manage scarcity at that scale, economists can't rely on guesswork. They depend on hard data, pulling from financial statements and national surveys to evaluate risks and measure exact resources. By collecting this information, a society can map out its available options and formalize its decisions through deliberate economic planning. When you sit down to allocate those resources, you immediately hit three unavoidable questions. What are you going to produce? How will you produce it? And who is it for? Let's start with what. Imagine a farmer with a single, finite plot of land. They have to decide exactly how much wheat to grow and how much barley. This graph is what economists call a production possibility curve, and it visualizes that exact trade-off. We have barley on the horizontal axis and wheat on the vertical. As we move down the line, we watch opportunity cost play out in real time. Because the farmer's resources are limited, the only way to produce more barley is to sacrifice some of the wheat. The curve itself represents the absolute maximum output possible. It shows what happens when every single factor of production, every acre of land and hour of labor, is used with perfect efficiency. Any production target outside that curve is a physical impossibility. Plotting this data forces producers to confront the hard physical limits of their resources. Once you know what you're making, you have to figure out how to make it. This usually comes down to a choice between labor-intensive or capital-intensive methods. In regions where human labor is abundant and inexpensive, you might rely heavily on a manual workforce, making machinery unnecessary. Conversely, when advanced technology and capital are available, businesses shift their operations toward machinery and automation. Finally, you have to answer the question of for whom. Since you can't make everything for everyone, producers tailor goods to specific consumer lifestyles. The combination of these three choices, what, how, and for whom, determines exactly who benefits from an economy's resources. But who actually holds the authority to answer these three core questions for an entire nation? In a planned economy, that authority rests with a central government. The state owns the resources and dictates exactly what gets produced, in what quantities, and at what price. Historically, the Soviet Union operated this way. Factories met government-mandated targets, but the lack of enterprise competition often left little motivation for innovation. At the opposite end of the spectrum is a market economy. Here, private individuals own the resources, and production is guided by the forces of supply and demand. Because multiple private producers compete for the same consumers, the system naturally drives competition, pushing prices down while increasing variety. The defining difference between these systems is whether the state or the consumer holds the ultimate power of choice. Pure market or planned systems rarely exist in reality. Most modern nations operate as mixed economies. A mixed system balances power. Private businesses compete for profit, while the government provides public goods that benefit everyone, like roads and schools. Governments in these systems use national budgets to allocate tax revenue, actively shaping the for whom question through welfare programs. Whether it's a government passing a national budget or a teenager deciding how to spend pocket money, the mechanics of the decision remain the same. Economics provides the analytical framework required to see the true opportunity cost of every choice you make, revealing the real trade-offs hidden behind every price tag.